On the pit leaderboards, we have the best pit-pushing builds in the game. Quill Volley, Mighty Throw, Firebolt, Bonus Spirit, Rapid Fire, and Cataclysm. But that's not what this video is about. Rather, it's about showcasing some new and wacky builds that came about in the mid-season patch. And why would we do that? Well, shit, I'm not going to play the same old builds for an entire season LOL. Let's have some fun until PoE 2 launches, and check out an insanely fun rogue build that's made a return. The Twisting Blades rogue build. And let me tell you, Twisting Blades is even better than Twisting Titties. I couldn't believe it either before I watched the patch notes. With some proper gear, the build should be able to farm pit 100s, and it's able to pump out upwards of 50 billion DPS. And why is this even possible? I mean, the build was mid at best before the mid-season patch. Pun intended. Well, for starters, the Twisting Blades base damage was increased. This is important because this build is all about the poison imbuements, which scales completely off the base damage of our skills. On top of that, we received some substantial damage buffs from the skill tree passives. But what truly brought this build into greatness was the changes to alchemical mixture. This thing is now fucking disgusting. And why is that? Well, shit, its damage got doubled. And secondly, the requirement to use it was reduced to 2 different damage sources. What's truly lovely about this passive, though, is how it scales. You're turning 40% of your damage from either cold, poison, or shadow into multiplicative damage. This is cool and all, but what is truly epic is that non-physical damage counts as all of the sources at once. So you're getting triple the goddamn value from non-physical damage that you would otherwise get from one of shadow, poison, or cold. So for example, if you slap on the Rakanoth's boots and masterwork non-physical damage, you can get 600% damage for the passive. You'll also have a bunch of lovely nodes in the skill tree utilized in this way for huge amounts of damage. And with the buffs to alchemical admixture, you're more than doubling your damage now, which is the reason the build is so great. When it comes to the playstyle, it's incredibly easy to play too. You're just spamming Twisting Blades and all of your other skills on cooldown. Twisting Blades in turn reduce all of your cooldowns from advanced Twisting Blades, allowing for even more spamming. So all you need to do is solve your energy regeneration, spam buttons, and win. And the energy regeneration is easily solved as well, seeing as Poison Imbuement restored all of your energy as well. Slap on the Starless Skies and some passives on top of that, and you can hold down the button no problemo. And that, my friends, is the lovely Twisting Blades build back and blasting. This one, along with all the other build guides, will be in the description. Next up, we have a fat Woodchopper build that's actually popping off. And it's the Stone Buster. This build was quite decent before the patch, received a massive buff, and it's now blasting. It's easily capable of clearing tier 100s, but where it truly shines is in the hordes. It shines so bright, in fact, that it may just be the best horde farming build in the game. And how does this bad boy work then? Well, shit. Typically, you need to hold down Stone Burst for a gazillion years before it pops and actually starts doing damage. But we're not interested in that. Instead, we utilize the Anticline Burst aspect to instantly gain the maximum size. Combine that with the Stone of Veerman, and the size then turns into humongous amounts of damage as well. It's then just all about keeping that spirit above 75, so you're getting the maximum size each time, and spam that Stone Bust button as hard as possible. Easy peasy. When it comes to the other skills, we're utilizing a few lovely interactions there as well. We first have Shred. In case you're a dogshit newbie, then you may want to replace this with Claw, but in the GigaChad Pumper setup, we're rocking this. And why is that? Well, it provides us with all of the lovely shape-shifting bonuses, along with turning us into a coked-up squirrel, dashing all over the place without any issues at all, and in turn, making the build just that much more fun. We also have either Bulwark or Cyclone Armor, Bloodhowl, and Poison Creeper to turn us into an immortal god, along with providing a bunch of damage. But what's truly epic is using Cataclysm. Combine that with the Mjolnir Ring, and suddenly you have unlimited spirit. And spirit is what we need to gain the maximum size for our Stone Bust ability. And that, my friends, is how you get the most fun Druid build of the season. Lovely, huh? Damn right. Next up on the agenda, we have a Cringeborn build. This may look like your typical evade build, but fuck no, it's not. It's 10 times stronger, it's more fun, and it's actually capable of clearing Pit Tear 150. It does everything. And what is different from the regular evade build here? Well, here it's not the Storm Feathers dealing the damage, it's all about dealing poison damage via toxic skin. We simply pop the skill, run the enemies over, and they'll eventually explode for trillions of damage. We're basically just a fucking truck running enemies over, and it's funny as hell. And what makes the build stronger than a regular evade Stormfeather build? Well, shit. Toxin skin is pretty damn bonkers, I must say. For starters, it scales disgustingly hard. This is because we can slap on the Noxious Resonance key passive that scales via crit damage. And how much crit damage are we able to get as a Cringeborn? How about a fuckton? You can get tens of thousands of crit damage due to how the bugged aspects work. Standing in town, I'm getting 1,000% additional damage from the key passive. But the redirected force indeed works with this key passive, granting multiplicative crit damage from block chance. Slapping this aspect on a two-hander, it in turn grants double the crit again. And then we use the interdiction aspect on the amulet along with grabbing maximum resolve stacks everywhere. All of this combined is what grants us tens of thousands of crit damage and disgusting amounts of damage from the key passive. We do indeed need to crit all the time for this to work, though. But the measured toxic skin basically does it all for us in combination with busting out a bunch of storm feathers. And in the low shitty tiers, the storm feathers in themselves can farm for us as well as it scales exactly the same as toxic skin does. Meaning, we're getting the best of both worlds. A lovely Helltide and Horde farmer, along with a potent pit-pushing build. When it comes to gaining unlimited evades, you need to get a bunch of cooldown reduction. But that's no problem, seeing as we can just slap on a Shaco and temper evade cooldown reduction everywhere, and we can in turn gain unlimited evades as long as we have Thunder Spike on our bars for the evade resets. The rest of the skills are then on our bars for maximum damage, where Armored Hide is the most important seeing, as that skill is what grants us resolve. You're then just flying across the map, dealing buttloads of trillions of damage and having some damn fun. And as to not get carpal tunnel, here's a quick tip for the PC enjoyers. Go into the control settings and set evade to scroll up and down, and then you can just scroll the mouse wheel to keep evading. Once you have enough cooldown reduction, you can also hold down the Thunder Spike button to animation cancel and evade even faster for more damage. Cool, huh? Damn right. For the next build, we have a Sorcerer build, and I think you'll enjoy this one because Incinerate is finally popping off hard. With the buffs to Incinerate and the Combustion Key passive, this build got a free 10 to 15x multiplier for free. It's now clearing Pit 100s and able to get fire ticks upwards of 50 goddamn billion damage. And honestly, I'm all for it because this build is insanely fun. And how does this build work then? Well, damn son, it's quite easy. If anything says Incinerate, then we use it. This goes for all the bonkers aspect that got buffed, combined with the Incinerate enchantment and skill ranks. The rest of the skills are then all about buffing us for more damage or defensives. We then scale burning damage for the new Combustion Key passive, we hold down the Incinerate button, and we start enjoying life again. This in turn also makes the build one of the easiest builds in the game to play, both for your demented old boomer brain and carpal tunnel fingers. It's also one of the few builds that you can play from level 1 to Paragon 300. The build barely changes, it just keeps getting stronger and popping off harder. Just lovely. Next up, we have a neckbeard emo build. And if you like being immortal, big damn and gore, then this build is for you. It's clearing upwards of pit 110s, and you don't even have to be Chinese to do it. On top of that, it provides unholy amounts of fun, and it's all about spamming out those bloody blood surges, baby. Now, this build didn't get any buffs in particular following the mid-season patch, but people have been sleeping on the build this season, and that's just not cool, man, because it's perfect for all content. The build basically works by you slotting blood surge onto your bars, picking everything with the word blood in it, and start blasting. To scale its damage further, we're boosting our damage to the fucking moon via overpowers. Because it so happens that Blood Surge has built-in overpowers in combination with the key passive. And when it comes to actually playing the build, this one may just be one of the easiest builds in the game. If you want, you could remove all other skills than Blood Surge and just hold the thing down. Because all the other skills are there to buff your damage. Corpse Tendril to pull shit in and grant you blood orbs. Blight for a 20% damage multiplier, Reap for attack speed, and Soul Rift for essence, vulnerable, and big hecking dam. The essence generation is important in particular here, and using this in combination with one chance to restore primary resource roll keeps you well and fed to spam your surges. You then just press these skills, hold down Blood Surge, and then you win until it's time to check out the next class. The shit-smearing barbarian. Now, the balance for this class is probably the most god-awful of all the classes this season, because the top dog Mighty Throw is pushing pit 130s, and the other builds are struggling at 100. It is what it is, but if you want to have fun, you go Spin2win, baby. I've been keeping this build updated since Season 3 because it's just insanely fun, and this season is no exception. But it works quite different to that of the previous seasons, because now we have 2 to 3 main ways to spawn our Dust Devils, which are our main sources of damage. The necessary ones are the Fierce Winds aspect in combination with the Force of Nature legendary node as to spawn Dust Devils from our butthole as we shout, along with spawning earthquakes. The final way is via the Devilish aspect, and will then gain additional tornadoes from generating Fury. Whether you use 2 or 3 sources doesn't really matter, seeing as both of the versions are pushing the same pit tiers, but what you need to focus on are the earthquakes, because the Dust Devils that spawn from them deals insane amounts of damage. Why I'm a fan of the Devilish aspect is due to the new helmet, the Bastard Helmet. The Prolific Fury allows us to get a shit ton of resource generation, and in turn, bust out a gazillion tornadoes. It's also more fun just seeing Dust Devils all over the goddamn place, and is great in hordes, and while speed farming in particular. For turning on those big bad earthquakes, boys, we wanted from the Paragon node, we utilize the Earthquake rune, and making sure to gain as much offering as possible. And for the build to truly shine, when it comes to big hecking dam, we slap on the Ramaladni sword and get to work stacking up that max fury. All this combined makes the build pretty damn fun, and decently strong as well. When it comes to the other skills, rocking the Rage of Haragath allows us to spam them non-stop. Ground Stomp also resets Wrath of the Berserker even further, allowing us to keep it up constantly for both massive damage and resource generation for the Devilish aspect. We then have our lovely shouts as always, and Rupture to both reset our cooldowns via Rage of Haragath and to keep up our damage bonuses we gain after overpowering, because this skill has a guaranteed overpower, which we love. And that, my friends, is all for this one. Drop a sub and become a Paragaming member, or else I'll be forced to drop kick this cute kitten.
Huh?